What is going on, you guys, and welcome to another Riding with Kev installation video. Now, I wanted to start this one out in the office because I need to explain a couple things on this modification. So, as you know, we're totally redoing my 2017 Ford F-250, and intentionally, I have the 6.2 liter gas motor. And when you start looking at upgrades and modifications and what you're trying to do, you gotta kind of figure out what you're trying to accomplish. And a high horsepower, Penny's gonna come in, motor, not a lot you can do, first of all, because it's not what that motor was designed for. It's in a Super Duty. Yes, they've made a version in the Raptor, but it's a Super Duty. And so it's designed to pull. It's a work truck. That's what mine started out as, is just a work truck. And so there aren't just a ton of engine horsepower modifications that you can do. And there's also there's basically one programmer out there. Now, two different companies make it, but they almost have the same part number, and they do the same thing, right? So you can go in, rewrite your computer, maybe get a little more horsepower, but they're kind of just boxes, and they have a little dash, a little display that you can use as gauges, but they're big-ish, they're unruly, and I don't really want to change the fact that I like running my truck on 87 octane. That's what it was designed to do. I put good 87 octane in it, the truck runs just fine. So I'm not trying to pay $350, $450 for a programmer that doesn't give me a digital display and that I got to run a higher octane fuel to get any performance out of. And so, for the diesel guys, maybe that makes sense, but even a lot of those tuners and all that do have displays, they look like GPSs, big old GPS screens, and I've driven an 18-wheeler with a 10-inch display GPS. I mean, that's not the look I'm going for, and it's not the purpose that I'm going for. And so, how do you fix that problem? What are you going to use? Well, the name of the game in half-ton pickup trucks and most pickup trucks from the factory is fuel economy. Everybody wants to talk about how much fuel economy you can save. And those of us that were old enough to remember carbureted vehicles, and even a little bit later than that, even EFI vehicles, you had your gas pedal. And when you pushed the gas pedal down, there was a linkage that went up to your throttle body or your carburetor, and you pushed down, it opened the valve, it let more air, and away you went. That's the way it used to work. Everything is electronic now. And one of the ways that dealers and factories and manufacturers kind of help with fuel economy, as you know, when you push that gas pedal down, the electronic signal's a little slow. You've heard of lag, and it takes a while, so you're not getting, you might push the pedal down. You're not getting just forward as much gas as you would think you're giving. And that's designed for fuel economy. But I have a truck that now has 35-inch tires. It's got a heavy bumper on the front. It's going to have an even heavier bumper with a winch. It's got a topper. I wanted more throttle response. That's what a lot of the programming in these programmers is. It's more throttle response. Quicker acceleration. You hear them talk about it all the time. Because I'm sorry, my butt is not calibrated to feel 10 horsepower. I don't know what that means. I know what happens, what it feels like when I press the gas and the truck goes. So I went out there looking. It's like, how can I improve acceleration? I don't want to mess with the computer on my truck. And I want to be able to monitor what's going on in my engine. Again, I have the base model truck. Yeah, I've upgraded the dash on it, but I still like to see stuff while I'm driving. And there's one name that I know and I trust, and I remember watching them on the TV shows in the early 2000s. I've had diesel motors and use their product, and that's Banks. This is not sponsored by them. I paid my money for all of this. They don't even know who I am. But I started looking at Banks. And Banks has this right here. It is the idash. And it is a 2-inch gauge that can monitor all the parameters of my engine. It mounts in a convenient location. It's got data logging on it, all that kind of stuff. It's a really good dash, and it's a 2-inch dash. And those guys who remember the olden days, I used to go to AutoZone and get a little triple gauge set up, and it was your voltage, your oil pressure, and engine coolant temp. And I like that look. And there's a really slick mount that I don't have yet, and I'll show you the mount I'm using in the video. But I'm going to go with the idash. That's what I'm going to use to monitor what's going on in my engine. And I don't have to program anything. It plugs in my literally OBD2 port, runs the gauge works. But in researching that, I found the Banks PedalMonster. And if you've done any research on this thing, again, I'm going to give them the shout out they didn't ask for it. Banks just does so much research, and there's so much safety, and what it does is it reduces that lag of pushing the pedal to the truck going. So we're going to go do the unboxing, do the installation, and then I will follow up with a driving video. But to say that I'm happy is an understatement, and for not having to mess with my computer, not having to worry about anything and getting good, I got the way to monitor what I want, I mean the pedal response that I want, and run my truck how I want to run my truck, and it's super easy. So let's go into the overview of the product, go through the installation, then I'll give you a driving video here at the end. See you in a minute. So here is just a tabletop overview. So I just put this up here. This is a glow shift gauge pod, which you'll see in the truck. I'll show you the one I want. They have one that mounts with an air vent that's really slick. I'll show you that when we get to the truck. That's like $7. I'll throw it down in the description just in case you want to do it. Just a temporary mounting. So this is the idash that I was telling you about. And this here is the PedalMonster by Banks. 64311 is the PedalMonster, and this is 66560. Like I said, I could have monitored this from my phone, but I like having the dash, having the gauge, give me more information so I can see what it works. And we'll show you, like I said, when we get the truck how it actually installs. So, idash, very nicely packaged. Light here. Nicely packaged there. Out. Again. Mounting it, I'm sure. This is where it goes into the OBD2 port. This is actually going to connect, I believe, to our PedalMonster instead of into the idash. But Banks, very good quality. There's your instructions, we'll figure that out. There's your zip ties, your sticker, instruction code. That is literally it for the idash. Now for your PedalMonster, thing works. More stickers, you gotta have those. There's all your things to connect. Everything we said. We should all that we get the truck. This is going to be your pigtail. There's the actual PedalMonster itself, and that's the pigtail. Like I said, it'll splice off underneath the gas pedal. So there's our connection. So let's get on and get over to the truck. Got this tabletop stuff. Let's actually get to going, get it in the truck. All right, this is literally the hardest part. You got that? You see that red clip going into the gas pedal? And on your Banks, you see you got your red clip and that one. So we'll unplug that, plug that one in, and then take the one from the factory and plug it here, and that will just split it. All right, so now the PedalMonster is in. It comes with this cord. This cord here, so it doesn't matter which port you use. There's 2 ports on here. This will run up the idash. It's a 6-pin. There's a 6-pin connector. And this is the 4-pin connector, and it will plug in on here and run down to your OBD2 port. So when I get those wires routed, I'll show you how I mounted this dash gauge into the dash. All right, so as I mentioned, this was a small one there, big one there. This was a $7, like I said, little gauge, just till I get the one. It actually mounts, I was saying, it comes with a whole frame that mounts over the vent and puts it right there. That's one we're gonna order. But I got a trip going, and we're gonna get a video of me testing this, pulling a duck boat to go hunting. So that's there. It comes with a little rubber grommet. I'm gonna set the pieces for this. There's a screw plate that I'm actually gonna save for my X gauge. I'll keep that in the truck so I don't lose it. But now we're gonna get everything mounted up, closed up, and I'll let you take a look. All right, so it is in, it is loaded up. We are just gonna decide our level here. So we are gonna go with, gotta have fun, right? Let's do, you know what, this is a starter. Let's do City 5. All right, and so calibration is complete. That is horrible. There it is, City level 5. We are locked up. Load it up and see if we get this damn thing. See, there we go, sorry. City 5, and I did get the data logger, so I can put an SD card in this. I'll go over a whole lot more detail, like I said, in the intro, and then I went over in the intro and kind of get some used to it. Like I do is like to install videos, and then I'll have follow-up videos on how it's working. So the Banks is in. We are ready to rock and roll down the road. Alright, so here we are with the old table talk, and it's time for the after action on the banks. Like I said, I did one with the PedalMonster, and again, I went with idash. Now, for the two of them, it was right at $500. And the PedalMonster, they do make a version of it that works with just your smartphone. And you can download the app, and if you're just doing the PedalMonster, you can do it that way, but I use my phone for navigation and phone calls and music, so I liked having something separate. That is the only reason that I went with the idash, but it exceeds. For 2-inch gauge, the stuff that it monitors, it's fantastic. I love that, but it is just a monitor. It does no programming, it does no writing, it just reads check engine codes and reads the data that your engine's already giving, that data to the computer. It's just reading it. That's all it does. It's very simplistic, and I like that. But mainly looking at the PedalMonster, I drove it. I had my wife drive it. I had it on city, and then I kind of went out one morning before she went to work, and I adjusted it up to sport level 5. Didn't want it to do anything, and she came back, and she was like, "What'd you do to the truck?" I was like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "I don't know. It just drove different." I was like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Well, it was more responsive," which is what we're going for with this modification. So, like I said, I didn't have to write any programming. I didn't have to wait on it to download to the computer. And I have beta tested programmers before where it went wrong and I had to have my truck towed. You're not dealing with any of that. The simplicity of the system is one of its major selling points. 2 is the fact that all the other stuff that it does. And 3, especially with the PedalMonster, is it just works. It solves the problem it was meant to solve. They're not claiming thousands of horsepower. They're not claiming horsepower at all because it's not a horsepower modification. It is just simply improves your acceleration. But what I was worried about, and I mentioned it, is that it was going to be touchy, especially on like sport mode, where if I start giving it the gas, I constantly want to downshift. I only have a 6-speed transmission, and it did none of that. It was scary good, I guess, trying to merge on highway traffic, because again, my truck has got a small lift, 35-inch tires, topper, bumper. It has all that stuff weighing it down, and just being able to merge without it constantly hunting gears was a very, very surprised. So, like I said, 200, I think it's 260 for the PedalMonsters, 295 for the idash. I got $500 in a system that does everything I need it to do, that's not reading and writing the computer. If I need to go take it to the dealership, it's literally, you can just unplug it. There's no undo this, put the stock tune. There's none of that. It's simplistic performance that works. From a name you trust, Banks, I do trust them. So just an overall great product. If you're looking for just a little acceleration, just a little more oomph, a little pep in your step, that's what this product does. It does it as advertised. You can go on and see 47 videos about all the safety features, and you can watch Gale do all kind of testing, because he tests his products against his competitors. But very happy. I would definitely recommend this to you. I can't wait to keep on using it. I haven't done track mode yet because it's not what this truck is for, but I could see how it can only get better, and I really enjoy it. So I hope you got something out of this review. Look into the PedalMonster if you want a little more acceleration. The idash is a great little out-of-the-way gauge. But thank you very much. God bless, and let's get rolling.